tell you, I'm really getting fed up with this stuff. This just has to stop. I'll get into that in a little bit. I've talked about this generator before. This generator is a propane, gasoline. It's a dual fuel generator. I really like it. It's a nice generator. I like the idea of it being dual fuel also. Primarily, this one's only being ran to run the well. Now, I've explained this before. I can run the well off the solar panels. Today, I wouldn't be able to. It's pretty cloudy. But on a good sunny day, around noon, I can run the well off of them. I've got a 2,000 watt inverter that I would hook up specifically just for the well. But life is not in an SHTF, so I don't have to worry about running the well off the solar panels. So I can still take advantages of some of the niceties in life. So I run the generator to run the well. I could use gasoline, but I don't run the well that much, once a week maybe. So I don't like leaving gasoline in the generator. They say for 30 days, but I just don't want to risk it. So I've been running it off propane. On warmer days, 50 degrees or above, this thing is just beautiful. But when it gets cold, this thing is a bear to start. It just doesn't want to pull. It grabs, it slaps it out of your hand, which I was warned about back when we were nomads, that these generators are hard to start. Now, when it got down to below zero, it wouldn't start. That was just not going to happen. All the propane pressures in all the tanks lowered. I brought it into the house, warmed it up, put it on some gasoline, and it started right up then. Just a forewarning with the dual fuel, it's hard to start in the winter. I have to put my foot on the top of it here, grab it with both hands and yank it, because it just yanks that rope out of your hand. I had my hand sitting here one time, and I pulled it with my other hand, and it yanked the rope out of my hand, came around, slapped my hand. Oh man, that hurt. I've talked about in the past that we can live totally off solar, and this is important. But for now, we can't, because we have a refrigerator. And so on days like this, when it's really cloudy, the refrigerator takes more of the energy than what we have. Now, we could get lithium ion batteries. People tell me that's better. I'm not willing to risk that much money to find out, when I can just charge the batteries for an hour in the morning and I'm good. I can charge it again an hour in the afternoon. But if SHTF were to ever happen, we would immediately can all our meat in the freezer and just shut off the freezer. We wouldn't ever run it again. Then I would have plenty of solar to run the well. I wouldn't have to worry about anything then. So that's how I can justify saying that we are 95% self-sufficient. We don't necessarily need the propane or necessarily need the gasoline. We could do without it. So today I've been kind of cleaning up a little bit, doing some fall projects, winter projects, I guess is a better way to put it, since it is winter. This area grows up pretty bad in the summertime. And people are going to say, well, why don't you mow it? Well, I really can't. We live here in a really rocky area. That's why there's not many farmlands around here. It's all rock. So you may see the rocks laying around up there. Maybe, I don't know if you can or not. There's rock there. So it's just easier for me to come in here in the winter and fall time and hatchet all this down. It grows up, and it's kind of nice and pretty in the summertime when it grows up. But I don't want it to grow up so much and have all these big trees hanging out here that it becomes dangerous, close to the house, close to the well. I don't want any of that. So I knock it down each fall. Another thing I've been working on is a cedar tree. We decided when we first moved here that we would keep it. I'm not a big fan of cedar, but Carolyn likes cedar trees, so she wanted to keep one. But it's all the way down here on the ground, and I took my battery-powered Sawzall and I brought it out here just to cut a few. Didn't want to start up a chainsaw or anything. So we're getting that hacked down, and then the battery died, so I quit. So just do a little bit at a time, like I always say. No reason to be in a hurry when you're living this life. Life is pretty simple here. You can see, again, right here, this would probably better explain the rock problem that we have. This is just natural rock. Now, of course, we got all the trash. I've talked about the trash on this property many times on videos. When we bought it, it was a junkyard. People still say it's a junkyard. Well, that may be true, but we are making an attempt to clean it up. Look at this old tire, Never did see that before until I got in here to clean up the branches off the cedar tree. It actually looks pretty good. The tread life on that is pretty good. Hard telling if I could use that. Maybe you can see some rocks over there, right over there. There's a big, I don't know, mound of rocks. And it's all natural. It's not like somebody put them here. It's really interesting. This is a very rocky terrain, kind of a mountainous thing. So we just do things when the opportunity strikes us or the mood strikes us, whatever the case is. Oh, here we're good picture of the rock problem we have here. So, you know, I can't even mow that. All these branches and everything grow up. Now here, I'm not too worried about it. I kind of like this in the summertime in this spot. But look at the trash. There's still trash there. I think that's from the old mobile home. Got knocked down. Somebody must have just threw it over here. So it grows up. This is kind of pretty here. I mean, I know there's a lot of complaints about how trashy this place looks and that we need to clean it up. But to me, it is clean. I know that's hard to believe for those that don't think that it's clean. I like the nature aspect of it. I liked having, now of course somebody's going to say, oh, you're just saying that because you're lazy. Well, believe what you want. I like the nature, the growth. Over here, I cleaned this up last year. Now I did not remove the stumps from this area, so I couldn't mow it. And as you can see, it's just full of trash too. So I knocked down all the trees in here so we could get some sun to our garden and to our solar panels. Here's the garden here, and then right behind me is the solar panels. So that way we can get the evening sun, because this is west, this direction. People will tell me to burn it, but our water supply is kind of iffy at best. I would hate to get a good fire going and the generator die while we're trying to get water down here to, you know, put out the fires. I'm okay with the brushy aspect of it. Again, it's kind of pretty, and the trees of course are down. I do need to get some of these trees out of here. I got that old cedar. I was waiting for it to die off so I didn't have to deal with it quite as bad. And then I got this tree over here. I can actually use that one for firewood, but you can just see the trash. It's everywhere. I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. The folks that think that I need to do a better job cleaning up, you know, do a little bit of time here and there, who cares? I mean, who am I trying to impress, really? I'm not trying to impress me. Carolyn seems to be happy with what we got. And really, this property, I don't think I'm ever going to sell it. I mean, I might, but I don't think I'm going to, so it's not like I need to make it fancy. The HOA isn't going to kick me out, at least not yet. That's sarcasm for those who didn't get it. Just do what we can. And if I ever get bored, then I can come down here and work on it. But there's nothing pressing around here. I get up in the morning at about 5 o'clock. I think I mentioned this in yesterday's video. I've been getting up a little earlier for some reason. I don't know why. I think the cat is waking me up. I kind of noticed this morning she was getting a little antsy, waiting for her chicken. Now, for those who are upset that I'm only feeding the cat chicken, that's not true. I also feed her bagged food. The chicken is a treat. We feed it to her 2 times a day. Instead of that wet canned food, we feed her the dry food. We leave that on the floor. She can eat that anytime she wants. So I get up at 5 o'clock and I immediately feed her chicken. And then I come down here, I open up the chicken coop so they can come out. If it's below freezing, then I wait until about 7 o'clock and I bring them down some fresh water. Otherwise, there's a bucket of water in there already. And so the bucket has little feeders on it. There's 6 feeders on each bucket. But I mean, it's really not a big deal. I do set the alarm for that so I don't forget to give them their water. So I'll come down at 7, give them their water. Come down at 10, give them some more water. Come down at noon, do it again. And then at 2 o'clock is my last trip down here. And by 4 or 5 in the wintertime, they're going to bed. Then I come down at 7 p.m. because Carolyn and I at 5 o'clock sit down for 2 and watch Netflix. So at 7 p.m. I close that back up. I feed them some food. I collect the eggs. So that's the only thing I have to do is take care of the chickens. Every 5 days, I fill the IBC tank with the well. So, and that's not a big chore. It's a little bit harder in the winter because I got to hook the hose up. But you may have seen up there that I got my filters. I used to filter the water before I figured out how to deal with my well. Well, now I don't filter the water. I got it all figured out, so it's not even a big deal anymore. I let the hose drain down the hill here. That way the hose is empty, and that way it won't freeze. Which reminds me, I probably should take this off. I have a little two-way. That way I can check the water before I put it in the IBC tank. So one holds the hose, this one holds the hose. This one I just let spray out, make sure the water's clean. I put it in a bucket. But I need to take this off, otherwise it freezes up. Now when it was really cold down in the negatives, this froze up. Now the water drains back down into the well because I have a hole down there about 70 feet, but this will freeze up. So I take a little torch and I hold the torch on there for like 2 seconds, not very long. Thaws right out and then I can get the water to come out. But this is empty. This has no water in it once I shut the generator off. Now these are the filters I was telling you about. I had 3 of them in line. See, I had 1 sediment filter and then 2 carbon filters, but I've disconnected those. And so all this scrap here is from the well before I repaired it. This is all broken up concrete that I got to figure out how to get rid of. Clean up a little here and there. No hurry. I made a short video today, so that would have been yesterday for you. And I showed you that I was splitting some firewood with a little mallet and a hatchet. Somebody said, that hatchet ain't gonna last very long with you doing it that way. Well, I don't know. 3 years seems like a long time to me, but I don't know what's considered a long time. If it lasts another 2 years, that's 5. I'm okay with that. 20 bucks over 5 years. Come out here and I split some firewood. Oh, probably again once a week. What it is before we had the wood stove, I didn't know what size to make the logs. I didn't know how much heat was be produced or any of that. So we split them, but we split them way too big. You know, we need to downsize our logs to things like this. It's not even as big as my arm. There's just nothing around here that is pressing other than the chickens. I would say Carolyn's chores that are pressing, she seems to get stressed over laundry, then she cooks. But everything else is just whatever she wants to do, whenever she wants to do it. But I was asked, your life must be terrible. Of course, they use the S, word SU, because you're so bored. There's just nothing to do. I'm telling you, if you believe that, you're really missing the point. The point was to relax. I don't need a hobby. This person said you need to get a hobby. I don't need a hobby. This is my hobby. If I need to do something, I can come out here, I can knock down some weeds, I can clean up some bricks and rocks, clean up the cedar tree, hatchet some wood. There's things to do where if I get bored, I can do it, but I don't feel the need to just keep myself occupied all the time. I'm very content. And this person is missing the point. I suppose living life fast-paced all the time, you can't have a moment of slow time. I've just learned differently, and I hope you do too. So if you click this up next box, take you a video where I was talking about a freezer. So I hope I can inspire you to find contentment so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.